Did you know that Superman was not the first person to leap over a tall building in a single bound? Let's talk about that. Today, we're taking a trip across the pond, across the ocean, to the wonderful, amazing country that is the United Kingdom. London, England, ladies and gentlemen, London, England. Today, we are talking about a time of wonder, just amazing period of history that we all remember and wish we could definitely go back to. I'm kidding. I am referring to the Victorian era of London, England. Because today, we're talking about Spring-Heeled Jack. Spring-Heeled Jack is a part of English folklore that originated in the Victorian era of British folklore. The first claimed sighting of Spring-Heeled Jack was in 1837, and later sightings reported all over the United Kingdom were especially prevalent in suburban London, the Midlands, and Scotland. Now, who is Spring-Heeled Jack? Let me tell you. There are many theories about the very nature and identity of Spring-Heeled Jack. This urban legend was very popular in its time due to the descriptions of his bizarre appearance, as well as his ability to make very vast, large leaps, to the point that he became a topic of many works of fiction. Spring-Heeled Jack was described by many people in London as having a very terrifying and strange appearance. Some said that he had claws, some that said that he had a devil-like look. Others said he was simply a man in a leather suit or in a sort of winged monster costume. Many other people even claimed that Spring-Heeled Jack had red eyes that were that of like a ball of fire. Some say he wore a black coat. Some say he wore a tight white garment and a helmet on his head. But the one thing that many can agree on is that Spring-Heeled Jack was in fact a menace to the people of London, England. In the 19th century, there were many tales of ghosts that haunted the streets of London, England. These ghosts were described as pale and ghastly, and some even believe that these ghosts who haunted the streets were maybe even the foundation for the tales of Spring-Heeled Jack. There are many early accounts of Spring-Heeled Jack. Most specifically, a woman named Mary Stevens, who sighted Spring-Heeled Jack in 1837 on a walk towards Lavender Hill, where she was a servant. On her way to Clapham Common, a strange, tall figure leapt out of a dark alley in front of her. Now, this part is viewer discretion advised. I'm not going to really go into some of the details here because I have seen a couple accounts of this story that end with some not good things. So I'm going to read it to you the way it says on Wikipedia because it's a lot more PG. After immobilizing her by holding her tightly in his arms, the figure began to kiss Miss Stevens' face while ripping her clothes and touching her skin seductively, to which she described his hands as being cold, clammy, and that of a corpse, which is not good. I feel like a lot of stories like this of like old-timey English like serial killers and like things of like the Spring-Heeled Jack sort kind of end in like things like this. That's not to mean that they all end that way. I don't have a problem with British people, and I'm not just saying that because I strongly dislike British people. I just said that I don't have a problem with British people and then that I strongly dislike British people. I would like to clarify, I love British people, by the way. I really do. In a state of panic, Miss Stevens then screamed as loud as she could, which then made her attacker, Spring-Heeled Jack, flee from the scene of the crime. The very next day, the same figure was spotted by somebody else who had lived very close to where Miss Mary Stevens lived and enacted another crime against a victim of whatever it is that Spring-Heeled Jack intends on doing to people. Gradually, the news of the strange character made its way through the streets of London. The description of the man made the news, and he was given his name, Spring-Heeled Jack. Lord Sir John Cohen. That's awesome. On January the 9th, 1838, just a few months after the first sightings, the Lord Mayor of London, Sir John Cohen, revealed at a public session held in the Mansion House an anonymous complaint that he had received several days earlier, which he had withheld in hope of obtaining further information. The correspondent who signed the letter, a resident of Peckham, wrote, "It appears that some individuals of, as the writer believes, the highest ranks of life, have laid a wager with a mischievous and foolhardy companion that he durst not take upon himself the task of visiting many of the villages near London in 3 different disguises, a ghost, a bear, and a devil, and moreover, that he will not enter a gentleman's gardens for the purpose of alarming the inmates of the house. The wager has, however, been accepted, and the unmanly villain has succeeded in depriving several ladies of their senses, 2 of whom who are not likely to recover, but to become burdens to their family." I don't exactly know what that means, but it kind of sounds like he beat them half to death. At one house, the man rang the bell, and on the servant coming to open door, this worse than brute stood in no less dreadful figure than a spectre clad most perfectly. Dude, this old English stuff is crazy. The consequence was that the poor girl immediately swooned and has never from that moment been in her senses. So I think that means that Spring-Heeled Jack did something bad, did something not good. The affair has now been going on for some time, and strange to say, the papers are still silent on the subject. The writer has reason to believe that they have the whole history at their finger ends, but through interested motives are induced to remain silent. Basically, what this boiled down to is London was now aware of Spring-Heeled Jack, and he was, they were on the hunt for Spring-Heeled Jack. Some thought he was a wicked prankster, as a statement describes him. But all in all, Spring-Heeled Jack is a menace. Now, do we think that Spring-Heeled Jack was real? Stories like this, figures and individuals like this, are very common in old-timey English folklore. And I think for the most part, they are considered to be real people. Now, do I actually think that Spring-Heeled Jack was leaping large distances? Well, actually, maybe. He probably could. There probably are people who can do stuff like that, but I'm not entirely sure. It's probably just in the heat of the moment, somebody's scared, just, over-imagine something like this. But much like people like Jack the Ripper or other figures of that time who actually existed, I think that Spring-Heeled Jack is a pretty plausible villain, if you will. And it's a very interesting story. There's a lot to Spring-Heeled Jack. I know my videos are usually pretty short-winded, but there's there are a lot of accounts of Spring-Heeled Jack and things that went on in the local area in suburban London where people like things that were done to try to find Spring-Heeled Jack, and I don't really have time to get into it in this video. But I think it's an interesting story that you guys should try and go get into if you want, because I think it's interesting, and I hope you guys think it's interesting. And as always, I really appreciate you guys watching. I really appreciate your support. It means the most. I love you guys so much. It's been great. It's been busy. And this is the first video I've done in a while, but it's just the first of many more videos that are to come. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. And as always, I'll see ya in the next video. Bye-bye.